The Brooklyn Nets are the biggest failure in NBA history, and I don't think it's particularly close. When the Nets landed KD and Kyrie in 2019, it was cause for celebration. Finally, after making arguably the single worst trade in NBA history and floundering for years, the Nets finally had two superstars who would carry them to a championship. Never mind that they almost completely destroyed the scrappy, overachieving team from the year prior. And not just destroyed the roster, but the culture as well. Sound like anybody you know? Less than 4 years later, neither KD or Kyrie are in Brooklyn, and the Nets seem destined for a full-on rebuild. So what went wrong for the Nets? And more importantly, what the hell they're gonna do going forward? But before we get into the Nets, consider leaving a like on the video, giving us a subscribe, and hitting that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos. Look, I believe that most of the Nets' problems can be laid at the feet of a single individual, and don't worry, we will get to him. But to be fair to this mystery player, not everything that went wrong with the Nets was his fault. Firstly, hiring Steve Nash as your coach? Look, I love Steve Nash as a player. He turned the Phoenix Suns completely around in the mid-2000s, and he made them a really good team, even if they could never get over the hump. But up to this point, the only experience he had in coaching was as a player development consultant for Golden State, a place where quite literally everyone has succeeded since, like, 2013. Remember when they made everyone think Luke Walton could coach? Yeah. They did that. And to go from being a consultant to not just being a head coach, but the head coach of a team with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in New York City, a team that is going to constantly be talked about in both the regular media and on social media, a team that was justifiably championship or bust, that's a big ask for a first-time coach, no matter how decorated they were as a player. I know he had a relationship with KD from when they were in Golden State, but God, this team badly needed a seasoned veteran head coach. So that's bad enough. But then there's the James Harden trade, and look, I fully understand why the Nets made this trade. It's not every day that a player the caliber of James Harden not only becomes available, but makes it known that he wants to join your team. And Harden, for the short time he was in Brooklyn, he played pretty well. He wasn't Houston MVP James Harden anymore, but when you also have KD and Kyrie on offense, you don't really need him to be. All that being said, this trade has potential to go down as worse than the trade the Nets made in 2013. If you look back, the Nets traded the picks that would eventually become Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown for washed Jason Terry, washed Kevin Garnett, and semi-washed Paul Pierce. He was actually okay in that 1 year he was in Brooklyn. His only year with the Nets before he bolted in free agency. This trade might be worse than that. The Nets sent out Taurean Prince, Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, 3 first-round picks, and 4 first-round pick swaps. All for a player who isn't even on their roster only 2 years after they made the trade. Those first-round picks, by the way, all unprotected. Brooklyn essentially has no control over their first-round picks until 2028. Is it likely the Rockets turn one of those picks into a player better than Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown? You know, it's not impossible. That's a lot of picks, and Brooklyn is probably going to be pretty bad the next few years. And thirdly, we gotta address the Nets front office here. None of us really know what's going on in that front office, but the Nets have always been dysfunctional. They were dysfunctional when they had Jason Kidd, they were dysfunctional when they made the trade for KG and Paul Pierce, and they've been dysfunctional when they had KD and Kyrie as well. Ironically, the only time they seem to have been stable in the past, like 20 years, they decided to blow up the team. And, you know, given recent events, maybe that general dysfunction of the franchise, maybe it was a far bigger deal than anyone expected. So hiring Steve Nash, trading James Harden, and the Nets kind of just being dysfunctional, yeah, that's all bad. But embrace yourselves for this burning hot take right here that is gonna blow your mind. Yeah, this is all Kyrie's fault. Alright, gonna preface everything I'm about to say by recognizing that, yes, as a basketball player, Kyrie is pretty great. His handles are mesmerizing, genuinely the best of all time. He's an incredible scorer from basically everywhere on the court, and more often than not, he comes through in big moments. However, the failure of the Nets are on him. The list of Kyrie controversies since he's just joined the Nets are too long to recount here, and we already have a video on all of them if you're interested. Link down in the description. So, let's just recap this season. +1 from last season. Yeah, the reason James Harden is no longer in Brooklyn? Essentially, he got tired of Kyrie's bullshit. The Nets had to flip him to Philadelphia for a package headlined by the mentally broken Ben Simmons.
Irving sees a seam, drops it off. Simmons.
So we're not off to a great start, but let's get to the offseason. Kyrie is unhappy with the Nets not wanting to give him a long-term extension and asked the Nets permission to seek a sign-in trade, which they grant. Unsurprisingly, really only the Lakers want him, and this was before Russ had rehabilitated some of his trade value. So, no trade. In turn, though, KD requested a trade, which sent the entire league into an all-out frenzy trying to trade for him and further destabilize the Nets. But this is KD we're talking about, one of the 5 best players in the league, so again, no trade. Less than 4 months later, Kyrie posts a link to a movie filled with anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Then he refused to say he wasn't anti-Semitic when called out, which, why? Like, all you had to do is say you weren't, Kyrie. Was that really too much to ask? Then, after offering a $500,000 donation to the Anti-Defamation League, which would go, quote, toward causes and organizations that work to eradicate hate and intolerance in our communities, the ADL declined his donation.
Damn!
Kyrie was suspended indefinitely and didn't return to the court until November 20th. He then proceeded to honestly play probably the best basketball of his career for the next 2 months. Kyrie was playing well, the Nets were winning, they ripped off a 12-game winning streak, and they peaked as high as 2nd in the Eastern Conference standings. But if you really thought that was gonna last, then I know some people who want to reach you about your car's extended warranty. Kyrie still wanted that extension. Apparently he was seeking something in the neighborhood of 4 years, $198.5 million. So basically he wanted to make more than KD. Yeah, Kyrie, and I want Pokemon to be real, and honestly there's a better chance that happens than the Nets give you that extension. The Nets offered a contract that had some stipulations in it because you fucking would, wouldn't ya? Kyrie didn't agree with that, reportedly wanting a contract with 0 stipulations in it, and when the Nets said no, he demanded a trade. Now, I've seen a lot of people online asking, well, why not just pay Kyrie? He's been balling out the past 2 months. He's worth it. He shouldn't even have to ask for it. Well, I'll answer this question with an analogy. Say you're dating a girl. You've been with her for a few years, you guys have similar interests, she cooks for you, she's super caring, and you genuinely love spending time with her. But whenever you go out, she's always flirting with other people, and every once in a while she says something that kind of makes you raise your eyebrow. She'll disappear for long stretches at a time with little to no explanation. Despite how much you like being with her, she's starting to get on your nerves a little bit. Then she does something that causes a huge fight, like a fight that could end the relationship. But neither of you want to end the relationship, so you both agree to take some time apart before reconciling, let's say 3 weeks later, with her promising that she's learned from her past mistakes. Everything is peaches and cream after that for 2 months, and then she asks you, what do you think about getting married soon? How many of y'all are dropping down on one knee? None of you, that's how many. Yes, Kyrie had played well for 2 months, but 2 months doesn't erase 3+ years of headaches he's put the Brooklyn Nets through. So Kyrie demanded a trade, and 2 days later, he got his wish, heading to Dallas along with Markieff Morris in exchange for Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie, a first-round pick, and 2 second-round picks. Honestly, from the Mavericks' perspective, it's not even really a bad trade. Dinwiddie and Finney-Smith are both fine players, but neither were proving to be the second star that the Mavericks really needed. Kyrie might be that. That being said, if he couldn't make it work with his best friend and his hometown team, why should I believe he's gonna make it work in Dallas? But with Kyrie gone, all eyes shifted back to Kevin Durant. KD had already requested a trade during the offseason when Kyrie was still on the roster, but now Kyrie was gone. KD's co-star that he followed to the Nets wasn't there anymore, and in his place was Dinwiddie and Finney-Smith. What now? Well, according to Brooklyn, KD wasn't going anywhere. Durant, after all, was under contract until 2026, so unless he really wanted to start making some noise, which isn't really his style, he didn't really have any leverage. Report after report continued to come out until on Wednesday, February 8th at 10:05 p.m. Pacific time, Woj tweeted out that the Nets were trading Kevin Durant to the Phoenix Suns. The Nets were also sending out TJ Warren, and in exchange they got back Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, 4 unprotected first-round picks, and a 2028 pick swap. And with that, the last of the Brooklyn Nets' big three was gone, traded away only 2 days from the 1-year anniversary of the James Harden trade, which is actually today.
Coincidence? I think not!
A little over 2 years after the Nets assembled arguably the greatest trio in NBA history, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, all in their primes, and all of them were gone. What the f*** do the Nets do now? So where do the Nets go from here? Honestly, fuck if I could tell you, I have no clue what the Nets are doing because the KD and Kyrie trades do not fit together at all. When they traded away Kyrie and said they wanted to continue to compete this year, I think everyone thought,
problem with you is you're completely delusional. I am? Sure.
But, I mean, if that's your goal, could have done worse. But now they traded KD for young players and picks. What are they doing? What are they doing? Like, yeah, from reports, it sounds like the Nets felt like whether it happened at the deadline or during the offseason, losing Kevin Durant was kind of inevitable. But why not play the season out? The best player they got back was Mikal Bridges, and yeah, he's a fine player. He's one of the best 3-and-D players in the entire league. But in a package for Kevin Durant, he's the best player you get back? Boy, I don't know. To me, it seems like KD may have requested a trade behind the scenes, and the Nets just panicked. If you're looking for any positives for the Nets, I mean, they don't have any of their own first-round picks for a while, but at least they managed to get some back from Phoenix. And thank God for Cam Thomas, because if it wasn't for him, Nets fans would be in an even darker place right now. But this is shaping up to be 2013 for the Nets all over again. I know it's not 1-to-1, but it's pretty close. Do I blame the Nets for signing KD and Kyrie? No, not really. The allure of superstar free agents is always going to be incredibly tough to resist. But let's look at the cores for some of the best teams in the league right now. Most of them are homegrown players with maybe one smart trade for a star to complete the group. Compare them to the teams built by superstar free agents, and most of them have disappointed. In their time with the Nets, KD and Kyrie played 74 games together. In the time James Harden was on the roster too, the three of them only played 16 games together. And you know what? When all three of them were healthy, or hell, when just two of them were healthy, they were good. It's been said time and time again, if not for KD's long ass feet, they beat the Bucks in that game 7. They showed you what they were capable of when all three were on the court together. And because of what they could have been, these Brooklyn Nets are the biggest failure in NBA history. And that's the video. How will you remember the KD, Kyrie, Harden, Brooklyn Nets? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button as it really does help us out. And if you enjoy our content, consider checking out some of our other videos as well. And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.